same generation as Agrippa I and some of the other Herod called Philip in the Gospels, and I can't find Herod the Tetrarch here, but he is here someplace. It's just hard for me to pick him out like this. But this, he's very close to a lot of these people here. And you can look at my genealogy of this Saul in there, and you say, well, when did he live? Well, Josephus talks about him all the way up to the time of the war against Rome. And he actually leads a riot in Jerusalem of the kind that you get in Acts after the death of Stephen. He leads a riot, and he has like a bunch of bully boy type of, not thugs, but whatever, people who use violence with him after the death of James. Something like the riot after the death of Stephen, and we've already drawn some parallels between Stephen and James. There's a lot of connections there. It's not that I would say anything is proved, but if anyone is the foster brother of Herod the Tetrarch, don't forget, Paul is in Damascus at some point. Even according to 2 Corinthians. We read you that passage, right? You all remember that? I was let down the wall of Damascus in a basket, and I do not lie, he repeats there again, to escape the representatives of Aretas, the king who wanted to arrest me. In Acts, as we showed, it becomes to escape the Jews who want to kill him. And we raised the question, were there 2 escapes down the walls of Damascus in a basket, or just 1? I think probably, we would agree, probably only 1. And therefore, which version is the authentic one? I've told you where you don't have any other evidence to support it, the primary source should take precedence of the secondary source. In this case, a primary source is a first source before it gets worked on by somebody else. In this case, the first source is Paul, and the secondary source is Acts. Why is Acts secondary? Because Acts has already been worked by a committee, at least, of other people, and it's part of a tradition. It's not part of the original primary source. It's a secondary source. It's already gone through a transmission process. Is that making sense to you? So therefore, there's a case where Paul is being pursued by Aretas. Aretas is the Arab king in Transjordan who is angry at Herod the Tetrarch for having divorced his daughter in order to marry Herodias, which is the affair in which John the Baptist is killed. And Herod the Tetrarch in that context beheads John the Baptist. Whatever the reasoning of a dancing girl or not in the scripture, whether you entertain that or not, as the circumstances, but in any case, you see Aretas and Herod the Tetrarch have a mini war. Josephus says that the people took Herod the Tetrarch's defeat in that mini war as punishment for his having killed John the Baptist. Josephus in the Antiquity says that, and we have that passage in Eusebius, that John the Baptist was a popular leader among the Jews, that the Jewish mob liked John the Baptist, and they objected to Herod having executed him, and they thought his defeat in this mini war with Aretas was punishment for what he had done to John the Baptist. And he then goes on to describe, and you read that in Eusebius, John the Baptist's mission. So there's, and they say, what are you getting at? Well, roundabout, Paul is under threat by Aretas. Aretas doesn't like Herod the Tetrarch. Aretas takes Damascus around this time in this mini war against Herod the Tetrarch. Paul escapes from Damascus because Aretas wants to arrest him. What is the reason why Aretas is Paul in league with Herod the Tetrarch? So there I go back here. Who is the foster brother of Herod the Tetrarch? Have we moved things around? Now, nobody could come up with this crazy idea I've just given you, except someone as crazy as me. I grant you that. You know, you have to be really crazy to develop these scenarios. But you see, the more you see the data, the more you begin to see that, in fact, some odd things are going on of this kind. And it's a consistent pattern. Someone is moving The Jews want to kill him. Maybe the Jews did want to kill him. I'm sure at some point there were Jews who were interested in killing him, but mostly zealot, revolutionary Jews, not establishment Jews. Paul has entree into the ruling classes. He gets letters from the ruling classes to go to Damascus to arrest obstreperous Jews of some kind. His nephew goes in Acts 22 to the Roman commander's billet and gives information that, extremist Jews want to kill Paul. Well, that I would agree with. I think the extremist Jews did want to be rid of him. Why would extremist Jews want to kill him? Because of the law issue. It's a very complicated period. And again, the Gibson thing, I don't think comes to grips, because I don't think the guy has read Josephus, frankly. He's just read saints, Christian, visionary women in Germany in the 18th century. You can't put that into a historical movie. You have to read Josephus and try to put something in the context, not what some person is having in a visionary state of being, except if you're a channeler, if you believe in channeling and things like that. So that's why, what's his name was trying to make a serious historical picture, whatever his name is, Stone. He just stonified it. He petrified it. I guess stone, petrified something. You turn it into stone. He petered it. He petered it. Petrified, Peter, Stone. Hey, well, we could call him Mr. Peter, because Peter and stone are the same word in the Semitic languages. In any event, we do have evidence in a circuitous way. Now, you remember I told you that when we had James, the brother of John, that the same kind of thing could be going on there when we have the central three. Paul says the central three are James, the brother of the Lord, or Jesus, if you want to call him that, John, and Cephas. We're not always sure who that Cephas is, or Peter. So the central three are, there's a brother, and James is the brother of someone, but he's not the brother of John in that reckoning. He's the brother of Jesus in that reckoning. Well, in the Gospels, somehow James the brother disappears, and the new James now becomes the brother of John. It's the same kind of moving things around. There's moving little bits of text around. Now, that doesn't mean it happened. Maybe there is a James, the brother of John, just as there is a Manaen, the foster brother of Herod the Tetrarch. And I grant you that position. And you say, well, why don't you just leave it like